Hello and Assalamualaikum. Today I would like to talk about the background of the study. The total number of people with lung disease is increasing worldwide due to air pollution. Still, most people still unaware of correlation between air quality and lung disease. This paper investigates lung disease and its association with modifiable and non-modifiable risk of lung disease in Klang Valley population-based sample. According to World Cancer Research Fund International, in 2020 there were over 2,000 people that are affected by lung disease, which commonly happen in men, which is more than women. In 2017, 3.3 million people that are exposed to the air pollution from lung-related conditions are killed. And statistics show in Malaysia, lung disease is the most common cause of death by killing over 4,000 people per year, and second most commonly diagnosed with more than 4,600 cases diagnosed in 2018. Emissions from an increasing variety of sources, including industrial production, electricity generation, transportation, and open burning activities, contribute to air pollution in Malaysia. Additionally, transboundary haze episodes that frequently results in an increase in air pollution by biomass burning and forest fires both inside the nation and neighboring nations. Next, we will continue with the problem statement. Day by day, human health is harmed by poor air quality. Studies prove that increased outdoor levels of fine particulate matters are associated with an increase in hospitalization for serious health issues such as heart disease, stroke, diabetes, pneumonia, and COPD. 1 in 5 deaths in 2018 were caused by the burning of fossil fuels alone, and this includes more than 300,015 deaths in the US. Mobile sources like motor vehicles, stationary and open burning, as well as forest fires, are the three main causes of air pollution in Malaysia. In Malaysian newspaper, 3 suspected cases of air pollution happened. One of the cases were a factory carrying out aluminium smelting activities in Teluk Polymer Garang, Kuala Langat. The second case was around 15 students from a school in Pasir Gudang, Johor, had experienced sudden respiratory problems and vomiting. They were presumed harmful gases exposure, and the symptoms point to a deadly gas as its prime cause. The last thing was in Seremban. The Department of Environment just ordered 2 factories making furniture and recycling plastics to be closed because they are believed to produce air pollution in Malaysia.
Next, for the justification of this study aimed to assess the prevalence of asthma among factory workers in relation to the impact of air quality to urbanization or other related factors. This study will be conducted using cross-sectional study design. Because there is a connection between the health and air quality, this study also aimed to determine the percentage of individuals diagnosed, in which the development of asthmatic patient in those areas is associated with the air quality and factory workers. Plus, the study can find out more about the state of the community's health so that a future intervention can be made. And not only that, this study also can be very helpful to other researchers, students, environment, and also the health professional who might work in this field in the future. As for the significance and strength of the study, the purpose of this research is to examine the relationship between the air pollution and the emergence of asthma. This study also estimates the proportion of factory workers that may have developed the asthma from their workplace. In this study, a number of targeted population based on stated criteria such as family history, locals, and others will be selected in order to ensure that there is less bias in the result. After reviewing the earlier research, it is clear that there has not been much done on the subject that is specifically focused on the Malaysian population. According to the Malaysian Department of Environment's advice, the area for the study was selected in order to guarantee that the desired data would be successfully obtained. So for the research question and the hypothesis of the study, the research question will be, is there any association between air pollution and the development of asthma? The hypothesis will be, there is an association between air pollution and the development of asthma. For the objective of the study is divided into 2, which is a general and a specific objective. In general, this study aimed to study the impact of the air pollution on lung health among the people. As for the specific objective, this research is to study the association of the exposure to the air pollution with the risk of developing asthma among factory workers in Klang Valley. The figure that have been provided from the slide, which is the conceptual framework, is the visualization of this concept of the study.
Is the anatomy of lung and its function. Each human consists of 2 lungs, which is the left lung and the right lung. Left lung consists of 2 lobes and smaller than the right lung. while the right lung has 3 lobes. Trachea connected with the bronchus and bronchus divided into smaller and smaller branches called bronchiole. Bronchioles end in a cluster of microscopic air sacs called alveoli. The main function of the lung is to facilitate gas exchange from environment to the bloodstream. And lung also function in balancing body pH and protecting the body from the harmful substance. Next is about the air pollution. So air pollution is defined as the contamination of the indoor or outdoor environment by any chemical, physical or biological agents that modify the natural characteristic of atmosphere. Air pollution divided into two, which is indoor air pollution and outdoor air pollution. Indoor air pollution is caused by the release of harmful substance or gas inside the building. Example of indoor air pollutant includes nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide and particulate matter. Source of indoor air pollution include the combustion of solid fuels in cooking and heating, which lead to contribute to the release of sulfur dioxide and arsenic. And second is the usage of unflued gas ether, UFGH, which release high level of carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide in poor ventilated room. Outdoor air pollution means emission of harmful substance or gases in the environment. Several medium pollutants in outdoor air pollution include particulate matter, ozone and carbon monoxide. Particulate matter defined as extremely small solid particle and liquid droplets suspended in the air. Particulate matter use PM2.5 or PM10 as the indices for particulate matter monitoring. Source of outdoor air pollution include combustion from motor vehicle, solid fuel burning and industry, and second is smoke from the bushfire, windblown dust, biogenic emission. And lastly is the respiratory disease related to the air pollution, which include chronic obstructive pulmonary disease COPD, asthma and lung cancer. COPD is a condition where the inflammation of the lung which lead to the blockage of airflow to the lung. Morphology of alveoli is destroyed due to the long-term exposure to particulate matter, which reduce the efficiency of gas exchange. Asthma, on the other hand, is the excessive constriction of bronchus and increased production of mucus. Long-term exposure to the air pollution triggers symptoms like cough, wheeze, shortness of breath, and chest tightness.
Before we take a look at the air quality in Malaysia, we must first know about haze. According to the dictionary, haze is a phenomenon where dust, smoke, moisture, and vapor are suspended in the air, causing obscured visibility while endangering human health and the ecosystem. Haze is mainly caused by forest fires, smoke from open burning, and road dust. Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore all suffer from haze. The air quality in Malaysia isn't the cleanest, but it's manageable and livable. And a study conducted by the Centre of Research on Energy and Clean Air, or CREA, found that 32,000 avoidable deaths occur every year in Malaysia because of air pollution. The air quality is measured by a unit called particulate matter, or PM2.5. And as of 20th January 2023, Kuala Lumpur recorded a value of 3.4 micrograms per cubic meter. The readings are fairly good and moderate on most days and never harmful. In fact, Malaysia's air quality is not the worst among Asian countries, and it surpasses Thailand, Vietnam, and even Indonesia. So what is asthma? Asthma is a long-term inflammatory disease of the lungs airway, and it causes bronchial airways to become narrowed and swollen, making it harder to breathe. Symptoms may include wheezing, tight feeling in the chest, shortness of breath, and rapid breathing. Here are 10 types of asthma: allergic asthma, non-allergic asthma, seasonal asthma, occupational asthma, exercise-induced asthma, childhood asthma, adult onset asthma, brittle asthma, severe asthma, and lastly, difficult asthma. Basically, asthma is caused by smoke, air pollution, and cold air, and haze is considered under the category of air pollution. In fact, researchers have long linked asthma with exposure to air pollution. Small particles like the PM2.5 are known to cause asthma when inhaled. Since they are small and light, they tend to stay longer in the air than heavier particles. Examples of PM2.5 are tobacco smokes, ash, silt, forest fire particles are all known to trigger asthma. There are several risk factors known to lead or trigger asthma. Firstly, family history. If one of the parents have asthma, he or she are 3 to 6 times more likely to develop asthma than parents who don't. Secondly, allergies like eczema and hay fever are linked with asthma. Thirdly, smoking irritates the airways, thus smokers have a higher risk of developing asthma than non-smokers. Next, obese or overweight children and adults are at greater risk of developing asthma. Lastly, pets like cats, dogs, rabbits, and hamsters all can trigger allergic asthma. That is all from me. Thank you.
Okay, so first I will present about the study design. So cross-sectional study design is our study design in our study. So first is to observe the association between the air pollution and development of asthma. And next about the outcome of the study of asthma. So there's the common disease, so that's why we choose the cross-sectional study design. And the third one is we don't want to determine any risk, so that's why cross-sectional study design is our study design in our study. Okay, next about the study period and location. So our study period is 5 months from 1 January 2023 to 30 May 2023, and our location is at the Klang Valley. Okay, so next about the study participants. So our reference population is the population of the factory worker at the Klang Valley residence, and our main participant is the factory workers that have asthma. And the questionnaire will be distributed to the factory workers within 20 and until 59 years old that have been diagnosed having asthma through the appointment at the clinic or hospital at the Klang Valley residence. Okay, so next about the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So our inclusion criteria is participant must factory workers and their age are within 20 until 59 years old. And participant also agree to answer and give back the questionnaire with the complete data. So that's our inclusion criteria. Our exclusion criteria is factory workers that have asthma due genetic or they are smoker are excluded from our study. And factory workers are not within 20 until 59 years old. And they are not answer the questionnaire and give the complete data also will be excluded from our study. Okay, so next about the sampling method and sample size. So for the sampling method, we use the certified random sampling where at least the participant have one of the criteria, either factory workers or diagnosed having asthma or not. And the certifying variables is the factory workers or diagnosed having asthma or not. So the criteria is either one of them. So next about the sample size. So the sample size is 386 participants, and the previous study or literature is the 8.93%, and the expected result is 60.93%. So we use the project formulas to proportion to get the sample size. So this is the sample size calculation in our study, and we choose the two proportion because independent and dependent variable are both categorical. Okay, so the last one is about the statistical analysis. So it will be carried out by using the SPSS. If the assumption is not made, Fisher exact test will be used. But if the assumption is a dependent sample, so the percentage square test will be used. This analysis is done to identify the association between the air pollution and asthma. The power of the study that will be used is 80% and the level of significance is 0.05. The result will be reported as the odds ratio, which confidence interval is 95% and the p-value is less than 0.05. Will be stated that the result is significant and there is an association between the air pollution and asthma.
The next aspect in research methodology is the data collection. In data collection, the data will be collected through printed questionnaire and distributed among the factory workers. The factory workers will be given an explanation about the ethics of the research done. The API index data will be collected bi-weekly, which is once in every 2 weeks. Lastly, all the data will be entered manually into the SPSS software. There are two types of variables in this study, independent and dependent variables. Exposure to the air pollution, which is a categorical variables, is under independent variables, and history of having asthma, which is also a categorical variables, is under dependent variables. For the ethical aspect, firstly, we must get the permission from the UNISA Human Research Committee and the Ethical Committee of the factory. Then, the participant will be given an explanation about the study before being requested to sign a consent. Last but not least, all the information of the participant are considered confidential. This is the flowchart of the study. It started with reference and source population, which is in Klang Valley, Malaysia. Then we identified the inclusion and exclusion criteria for the study. The sample size is determined by two proportions formula 1, which is Pocock's formula. The sampling method that being used in this study is stratified random sampling. Then the data is collected before enter manually into the SPSS and analyzed by using Pearson chi-square test and Fisher's exact test. Lastly, write up the report after presentations, interpretations, and conclusions. These are the expected results for this study. In this study, we use Pearson chi-square test to analyze the data. And if the assumptions is not met, we proceed to analyze the data by using Fisher's exact test. The result will be interpreted from the prevalence, odds ratio, and the p-value.
So this is our Gantt chart table, which we start our activity at January and last in May, which we start with the selection of proposal topic and approval and last with presentation in conference. So this is our milestone table where we get the ethics approval for our research on 3 January 2023 and last of the conference on 27 May 2023, which indicate the completion of our project.